Hi everybody. Sorry there was no video yesterday. Mr. Bates had to teach our Year 2 bubble all day. Miss Peden was on a course. So I'm going to read an individual story today, and then I'll start a longer chapter book on Monday. So I had a few requests, and I'll see if Mrs. Hughes can help me out in the library and find those books for me ready for Monday. So today's story, a few people have requested this, is one of the Dinosaur That Pooped books, written by Tom Fletcher and Dougie Pointer. Now, I remember when they were in a band, so that must make me ancient. But The Dinosaur That Pooped a Planet is the book we're reading today. So I hope you're all well and getting ready for the weekend. And don't forget, grown-ups might have received another parent mail from Mr. Bates, but it's the RSPB's Big Bird Watch this weekend. So if you can find a couple of hours over the weekend to either have a sit in your lounge or in your room that you can see your garden from, and have a little look at what birds visit your garden each time, you might have to spread a bit of food out or some bread to entice them in. Or if your garden's a bit too small, or if you don't have a garden, you can pop to the local park, as long as you are in a safe place, and have a little look at what birds fly in and fly out of the park. We've attached a form to fill in and a poster for you to learn which birds are which, because I know we know a few of the common ones like blackbirds and starlings. There's all sorts around us if we really look. So that might be something you could do at the weekend. But anyway, on with the story. The Dinosaur That Pooped a Planet. Danny and Dinosaur liked to have fun. Some days they had lots, and some days they had none. One day they were bored. They had no games to play. Danny said, "Dinosaur, what shall we do today? We could mow the lawn, we could tidy the place, we could do our chores, or we could go to space." "You mustn't forget to have your lunch," said their mummy. "You cannot have fun without food in your tummy." So they packed a packed lunch for the Science Museum, where the rockets were kept, if you wanted to see them. I think I might be missing some pages out of this book. There were hundreds of rockets and spaceship surprises, tall ones and small ones, of all shapes and sizes, and one that was ready to launch with a door big enough for a boy and his pet dinosaur. Uh-oh. They ignored all the warnings, they couldn't care less. They pressed all the things they shouldn't have pressed. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition! They started their intergalactic space mission. They flew higher than houses and buildings and cranes, much higher than birds, and even higher than planes. "We're in space," Danny yelled as they floated around, but the dinosaur's tum made a rumbling sound. Now I know from experience that's never a good sign. "Is it time to have lunch?" Danny looked at his watch. Then he looked all around for the dino's lunchbox. Danny started to worry, and then he started to panic. They'd left the packed lunch back on their home planet. So with no food on board, not the smallest of crumbs, a disastrous dinosaur feast had begun. It gobbled up gadgets and gizmos galore. Nothing was safe from this space dinosaur. Robots and ray guns and blinking red blinkers, eating things thought up by NASA's great tinkers. The hyperdrive gamma reactor machine was swallowed along with a space tractor beam. It chewed and it chomped on the spaceship controls. The rocket was dotted with dino tooth holes. Inside it was bare. The spaceship was empty. Outside there were more things to eat. There was plenty. It broke down the door with a cool ninja chop. Out in space, dinosaurs are much harder to stop. It chomped on the moon like a big chunk of cheese, then shoved even more of its mouth with a squeeze. I wonder if the moon is really made of cheese. It munched on the Martians from Mars and their cats. Their cats are like ours, but their cats wear cool hats. Satellites, Saturn, and 6 supernovas, shape-shifting saucers, and 7 space rovers. Greedy guts. It guzzled 5 gallons of fuel from the tank, and Danny's jaw dropped as he watched what it drank. With a crunch and a crack and a nom 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 nom. In one dino gulp, the whole rocket was gone. Now nothing was left. All Danny could see was a fat dinosaur where the rocket should be. And so they were stranded with no way back home. Just Danny and Dinosaur in space, all alone. Got big, hasn't he? Now Danny was crying. Oh, 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 oh. He cried and he cried. He cried and his tears filled his spacesuit inside. Oh, poor Danny. Unless they were going to stay there forever, the dinosaur needed to do something clever. With a feeling of guilt deep down in his gut, its brain brewed a plan involving its butt. It knew there was only one thing it could do to get them back home. It needed to poo! Like a poop-powered rocket, the dinosaur flew. Dan hopped on its back and he watched as it pooed. It pooped out the robots and ray guns and blinkers. The things NASA's thinkers thought up were now stinkers. It pooped out the moon. It pooped out the stars. It pooped the space rover and Martians from Mars. Ugh. Ugh. When Danny looked back, he could see a poop trail from far out in space all the way to the dinosaur's tail. They headed for Earth and they started to orbit. It pooped on the clouds, but the clouds just absorbed it. They flew past the buildings and streets of their town, leaving the houses all smelly and brown, and finally landed back down on the ground. Hooray, Danny cried. We are home, safe and sound. That will be a shock for the neighbours in the morning. They looked to the sky, and the things that were pooed had formed a poop planet right next to the moon. And so Danny promised to listen to Mummy, because fun is not fun without food in your tummy. There's the poop planet. Looks a bit like another planet with a ring round it, doesn't it? Do you know the name of that planet? Might be something to check. And just when you thought all the pooping was done, a Mars cat plopped out of the dinosaurs. Bum. Well, what a disgusting story. But I know from experience with you guys, the more gross the story is, the more you like it. Right, have a great weekend, everyone. And I'll be back on Monday with some other story videos with maybe a longer chapter book to read through. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Monday.